StatiSense revealed data about the League of Praying Nations, which showed that 95% of Nigerians say that they pray daily. We're the second highest in the world, by the way, after Afghanistan. Well, let's take a look at the statistics of the top 9 countries of those who pray daily. Let's look at that. Here, look at that. Number 1 is Afghanistan. Number 2 is Nigeria, 95%. Then we have Algeria at 88%, Senegal at 88%, Djibouti at 87%, Iran 87%, Iraq 87%, Niger 87%, Indonesia. Then bottom 9, which is China at number. China, don't care about. Can we pull up the other graph? Because I want to do another type of comparison. This one is prayer versus terrorism. Again, Afghanistan tops that list. And then there's another chart, if you can pull that up. Prayer versus corruption rank. Again, Nigeria is number 2. I mean, what does this say about our nation? Kayode, really quickly.
Yeah, good evening. You had it going into this conversation. That will be the base of our conversation this night. And I just felt like, TVC did a nice job, not just them anyway. The Stats did a nice job in explaining what the conversation tonight will be. But just before we start, let's go on the normal and the normal culture. So good evening. Welcome to another night on 20 Minutes Live, where conversation around how to have our space develop would happen. Every night we would come online. I would come online to have conversation and discuss what I think and how I think my space can move forward. For me, this is not this is top of my priority. My nation and my space is top of my priority. I have no other option than to make it work. And that should be the ideal thing within our space, right? But obviously not yet. Not yet. And then, of course, for any innovations, good or bad, someone would have to start it, right? And I just felt like, let me start this. This is not new to me, right? But let me start this conversation. At least let's start, let's initiate the mind that we can start having conversation about our space, about the need to have our space developed, right? So this night we'll continue on the conversation we started on developing our space, religion. Some persons would say, talk about everything, but leave out religion out of it. That is the more reason we can't leave it out of the conversation. That you've considered something not to be touchable, it begins to make it suspect, that once you are in psychology and in criminology, right, they would say follow the money, follow the pattern, or follow the steps, that in order to resolve and to solve a criminal case, you either follow the pattern, or you follow the money, or you follow whatever you have to follow. But most times they will say follow the money. That is the pattern. You follow the money to resolve a criminal case, then follow the money. If you can trace where the money goes, where the money is, then you will be able to resolve the issue. And that is just pure basic, and by the time you get into the point where you say, no, this is no go area, and try defending something, then that might possibly be telling us what the problem or what should be looked at, in order to get an ideal know-how or what to do, right? So this conversation is actually not to get back, get at a particular religion, but to make a factual baseline, a factual commentary on what this sector, this institute will promise to want to play within our space and would assess. It's just pure sense to assess. And this would lead us into the conversation this night, that religion is for the dumb and not, right? It's for people who are truly want to be dumb. That the most effective or the highest number of religious people, according to stats, will be mostly people who would be dumb in terms of actions, right? Who will be dumb, and we will see it. It's not me, we will see it shortly, or you would hear it shortly. The stats is here, right? That the more religious a society is, the less they are to produce something in terms of creativity, interacting with their minds, interacting with their productivity, functionality part, it renders them a bit useless. And for them to keep believing this in spite of the fact, in spite of the reality, they would have to be not. Just like the normal mad person, right? If you meet someone who is mentally disabled on the road, who probably has started operating on the road naked, the person is probably just going to argue that they are stable, they have a stable mind, just because they have assumed the new personality to be the true personality, right? And that would just make sense. So while you are telling the person is mad, the other person is responding back to the first person and saying, you are the one that is mad, because as far as I'm concerned, I have no issue with this. So every time we go against fact, we go against what should be norm, right? Which we will be based on fact, then we mean that we've gone nuts. So this is not really an abusive title. It's just a factual comment of what is happening. That for people to still believe something that promises to change, or to have the capacity to change the effect of bad things, right, around us, and over time would not deliver on these promises, and for us to keep believing these things, meaning that we are absolutely not. Any society, and you will see it, any society, that's why we will become aggressive, we will become terrorists, we will become very aggressive to protect it anymore, because it will not be accept it or I kill you. It's no longer be look at the fact, once he was blind, now he can see it, then you accept it. It will be on gimmicks and it will be on lies, right? And you would have to do everything manly possible to protect it. And that is the situation that is the situation the religious folks are in. Let me not say I'm part of them anymore. I'm no longer religious, right? That is the religious state that the religious folks are in within our state. And just before coming online this night, someone said, what of Japa? Their God is giving them a better life through Japa. And I said, no, that's not better life. That's slavery. That the best you can see is factual. Look at any animals, study any animals. They thrive most in their natural habitat. That is proven. This is another fact I just peel out. If you nurture or you have animals that you are breeding, right? You are managing. You want to give them the best possible to their natural habitat for them to thrive. There is something connected with people and their land. By default, that is why you see sheep different in this part of the world compared to other part of the world where snow exists. It's just normal. It's just normal that things would respond and would thrive based on their habitat. That we have even considered that to be a permanent solution shows how dumb, and any institution celebrating that to be an achievement, it shows how dumb they have been and they have become, and shows how not they could be. It's just like a fish saying, you know what? I no longer live inside the water. I can now stay on the land and I'm thriving. You can see I'm thriving. I'm still living. That's the same way. A fish will not even do that or celebrate that. If a fish run out of water for whatever reason, he knows he has to resolve the problem. Once you start seeing dead fishes inside the ocean, you know that the ocean is no longer clean, it's polluted. What do? Do you get the fishes out of the ocean because the ocean is now polluted? No, you fix it. You clean the ocean. So I don't know why humans, just like I said, these are facts buttressing my point. These are facts buttressing my point that the so-called religious within our space must be dumb and must be not. Still following religion that promises so high but delivering nothing, absolutely nothing. So the best will be, and check the stats, even the richest African in the world is still living in Africa. That shows whether he's making the money genuinely or not, but he's still living within African space. He's still living within African space. That explains why the politicians and the legislators are not running away. Because they know that the money they can make here is far better than any other place. So the best will be, when we japa in the sense, is to be another slave. That's the best will be. So how come an institution is helping us to celebrate that and we see it as celebration? By the way, japa can be used for a tool. I understand this. It can be converted. Japa also falls into escapism, right? And I said escapism on their own are bad, but depending on what you use escapism for to achieve, that might begin to make it make sense. Just like religion too is a form of escapism. People are hungering to some beliefs because for them, it comforts them, it gives them that comfort. Just like the same way some person feels some level of comfort when they smoke and when they drink, And if you ask those who drinks, it's more real than the comfort they get from those things. It's actually more real. I don't smoke, I don't drink. But it's actually more real from them, listening to them. It's more real than those who claim that they are using religion to cool off. So what's the point this night? The point this night is that we must begin to face the facts and reality. And the fact and the reality is that the people who will be about the institution called religion within our space, who would not see anything wrong with religion within our space, who would want to keep this tool that promises so much, but yet delivering little, must be done and must be not. And the way they get to do it is that they get eye on it, actually. They get eye on it that they do the same thing week in, week out, daily, day in, day out, year in, year out. I was told that there is a yearly program that they just commence in another part. They will start another new one somewhere. They will, year in, year out. They are not tired, hearing the same thing and producing nothing. You are not tired. You are not, a normal person, a thinking person will begin to assess and reassess what they have had. I only spent 3 years with a particular religion before I made an assessment that these guys can't deliver on these promises that they are promising. You have to assess if you are not dumb and if you are not. That you can no longer assess does not prove that you have faith, does not prove that you have some high level of spirituality over any other person. In fact, the fact there is there. With the so-called spirituality access we have, some of the best and some of the best skills around us, living and dead, are not associating with religion. The best countries, the most producing countries in the world are not associating with religion. Everything that associated with religion is terrifying. It's negative. I'm not making this up. So the most prayerful, according to a post I shared, if you scroll down my profile, not my profile, right? My page, you will see it, that TBC had to comment about, about the stats. They said that we have 95% of our total population who believes in praying. And not just believe, they pray daily. I'm out of that 95%. I'm part of the 5% that don't pray. I wish we have more of those ones, because those ones will be the thinking ones. So that 95% of Nigerians pray daily. They believe they should pray daily, and they pray daily. Why wouldn't they pray daily? Why would it be 95%? Because I myself released a report earlier today. I made a post earlier today commenting on the percentage of religions or the religious within our space. That about approximately 80 million Nigerians are Christians. It's far more than that, because it's about 46% thereabout. And 46% of as at the last account, which was in 2021, 46% of 213 million thereabout is about over 90 million. So let's just say, but I had to stick with the lowest. Let's say 80 million. And then in the other side, we have about 54% of our total population associating with Islam, Muslims. Let's just assume, because I would have to go with 200 million. I did my calculation based on 200 million, not on 213 million. So on 200 million, we have about 90 million who are 97 million thereabout who are Muslims. But if you have to go about with 213 million, that is over 100 million. If you add the two together, that will give you about, totaling to about 170 million thereabout. If you subtract that from 200 million, which was my start, which was the population census I was using, you would have only 36 million people who would not, who would either be atheist, non-religious, or traditionalist, right? And you cannot classify all of them as traditionalists, because they would worship. Our natural belief is personal. It's not commercialized. It's not commercialized. We're not using beliefs to control people. People had free access and free entry into the choice of their spirituality. It was personal to them. It was personal to the family they were born to, how they want to connect with God. But they understood that there was God. There was God. They understood this fact. So back to the conversation. 170 million persons, religious, tongue speaking, well, maybe 80 million persons tongue speaking, healing making, cannot change a space. Cannot change a space. This 170 million will now depend on their God to give them access and entrance into another people country just to survive, and call that testimony, and call that their God's breakthrough. No, Your God is just really the country that is giving you the entry to come and be slave. That is who you should be worshiping. Put it in real terms. Stop disguising. This is the God that you should be worshiping. Not, you have no God anywhere. Let's tell ourselves the truth. There is no God anywhere. You must be dumb and not to still want to tell me that I have made a resolute and some other person, some other comrades who have resoluted to build their nation at whatever cost. It will cost them personally or collectively. We are your God. If your God can't do what we want to do, then you should drop whatever you are worshiping and you start worshiping us. You must be dumb to still be religious within our space. You must be dumb and not. Not just that you are dumb, not just that you cannot think, because dumb would not just be that you cannot talk. Dumb will be that you are nullifying the part of you that should be relating with you and reality, right? You are nullifying senses. You are nullifying thinking. You are nullifying feedback through eyes. You are nullifying mouth speaking. You are nullifying hearing. You are nullifying everything that has to do with senses and which is connected to brain, which automatically just makes sure that once you can no longer connect all these indices and pass information to yourself and constructively bring out solutions out of yourself into fixing our space, then you are not. I don't know why people still preach their religion in a bold manner as they do, despite the circumstances of our space. That is not. There is nothing that proves that someone is not than that. That you still shout God in this space. Or the worst is that you shout God while being... No. People are just not. People are just not. Like I said, there is a way out to use Japa. If that is how your God is inspiring you to use Japa, but I doubt it. I've listened to many people. That's not the way that they would just want to escape. They are not using Japa like Moses did. There is no groundbreaking plan. There is no idea. There is no vision for actions. I've interacted with them. And I can tell you for a fact, there is no groundbreaking. It's just survival, just me and my family. Your God must be weak. Religion is weak. It's extremely weak. And the people who are still practicing it are extremely weak. So let's go back to the start. The start will show that Nigeria, following Afghanistan, will be the second in the most praying nation in the world, followed by Trust Africans now, followed by Nigeria, Algeria, Senegal, Djibouti, Iran, Iraq, Niger, Indonesia, as the most prayerful nation in the world. Coincidentally, this list will be the same list for the most corrupt nation in the world, based on the rank. Exactly based on the rank of how religious they are, they will follow themselves. Afghanistan is 25th, Nigeria is 25th, Algeria is 59, Senegal is 105, 46 Djibouti, 32 Iran, 20 Iraq, based on the start for the most corrupt. these nations will still be almost topping the charts. Terrorism also, the same thing. But the funny part is that the least ranked prayerful countries in the world are the ones most productive. The least prayerful in the world, the least religious in the world are the one with most production, with most productive. So if truly we want to ask ourselves that we are not developing as a space because we are not truly producing, I think you know the answer. Your answer is as good as mine. And this thing, we don't need start. You know, I once passed an environment that used to be an industrial avenue. And almost all the, not almost, if I say almost, it's like I'm still saying there's still spaces for businesses. 99.9% of the spaces that were used formerly by business owners, formerly for industries along that avenue, were now occupied by religious organizations. In fact, let me burst your bubble, right? I want to box it, right? You know, there was a day I was in a meeting. Is a religious meeting. I'm very close to a major national heritage, you know, but that will be abandoned by the so-called politicians and legislators who will not maintain it. And guess what they were saying? They were saying that they wanted to buy that space so that they could turn it to church. A national, something that is supposed to be a national heritage. Something that we're supposed to even take care. If government fail to do it, who should do it? If not the religious. They were now even negotiating that they would want to buy it. Even though I was in the meeting, there was no way I could join that kind of prayer. You know, that's sad. That's extremely dumb and not. Extremely dumb and not. And that's why I said, religion, for you to still be practicing religion within our space, you must be extremely not and dumb. Your dumbness must be followed calm, honestly speaking. Except if what? So let me leave with this question. Why did you join the particular religion you joined? I know reason why some other person is going to kill me. You are going to say it's for heaven. If you really love to make heaven, if you truly believe in what heaven is, then you will know that not fixing your space would force you to ultimately miss it. And that is what is already happening. That your space, your incapacity to develop your space would force you to commit crime. If it's not already helping you to do that. And you're committing crime, you sure do know that you will not make heaven. So think about this. But for a fact, look at the fact. You too Google. Look at what it promises. Look at what it's delivering. And ask yourself, what else? What other information do you need more to believe that this thing is not delivering on its promises? If it was business, you will have done the same thing I'm doing. How come you are not doing it for religion? Because religion makes one nuts and makes one dumb. So that will be 20-minute live for this night. Till we see tomorrow night. I am Sheon Ayilara and I am a revolutionary. You know, I want to exit this world as God. That's my desire. And I'm on it already. I'm going to do that in no time. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend our unity and uphold our honor and glory. So help me, my ancestor. See you tomorrow night.